The Glock Model 21, let's check it out. In 1990, Glock introduced their Model 21, which was 45 ACP. It really bridged the gap between the 1911 and modern striker fire pistols. Following suit, a lot of different companies began to offer the 45 ACP. But this is a pistol that took this modern design and brought that old caliber back to the forefront. With 13+1 in the magazine, it really gave you a lot more rounds. It is a very large firearm. It's that large frame. In 2007, they introduced the short frame, which has a little bit of a shorter gap in between where your fingers and the heel of your hand go. And it really makes it a lot easier to shoot. The originals were really thick, and so I really prefer that short frame. But this is a very large pistol, and yet with that polymer frame, it keeps it lighter. The slide, Glock, very blocky Glock-like, but yet in the same tradition and reliability as the Glock 17. Now the Glock 21 is a large pistol, and even though I've had a couple of Model 21s over the years, I had sold it just because it's big. But when I got back into the 10mm and I got my Glock 20, I decided I needed to get another Model 21. And I got on AIM Surplus. They had some police trade-ins over there, and so I picked one up for a very reasonable price. They had the Gen 3 short frame and the Gen 4. I chose the Gen 3 just because I clicked the button. But we're going to take a look at the Glock Model 21. And guys, in 45 ACP, the Model 21 is an excellent firearm to have on your side. As much of a Glock fan that I am, this is my first review of the Model 21. Full size, 45 ACP, introduced in 1990. And the Glock really was an introduction to a polymer frame striker fire pistol in 45 ACP. It was one of the first. I mean, we had the old tried and true Colt Government, and these were obviously from 1911 to 1990 and beyond. Even today, these are very popular firearms. But they were single stack, all steel frame. You could get the aluminum frames for your lightweight Commander, but pretty much a full-size combat firearm. When Glock introduced their Model 21, it kind of changed the market. A lot of guys were used to that 1911 and 45. 9mm was really hitting the market big time with law enforcement agencies and the military. So this was really something that was different in the market, and honestly started a revolution with a lot of the other companies introducing 45s with those double stack magazines. Let's go ahead and make sure the gun's unloaded. We're going to drop our 13+1 magazine, check the chamber, and it's empty. Now, this is one of the Gen 3s. It is a short frame, which means the grip is a little bit shorter right here from your fingers to your palm. And honestly, that's where you grab the firearm. That's where you have a good grip on it. The originals had a little bit more of a back strap, and they were huge guns. This is a fairly large gun regardless, and it's bigger than the standard Glock 17. We'll do a comparison. But Smith & Wesson came out with their Model 645. Now, it was a double single action pistol, but it had only 8-round mag capacity, and it was all steel. So this really did kind of bring together the striker fire polymer frame revolution. The guys, right here is the reason why the Glock is so popular. I mean, look how many rounds we have. 13+1 here with the 1911. We have 8+1 or but a lot of magazines are 7+1. So it gives you a lot more capacity. Yes, a larger firearm, but definitely a lot more capable with those rounds. And again, the reliability of the Glock is just world-renowned. Not taken away from the 1911 because I love them. These are two different worlds. Weight on the Glock Model 21. 1 pound, 13.2 ounces. Weight on the Glock Model 20 or the 17. 1 pound, 9.6 ounces. Considerably less. Weight on the Colt Government Model 45 ACP. 2 pounds, 6 ounces. This all-steel frame definitely brings the weight up. And again, we have 13+1 in the Glock 21, and we have 7 to 8 rounds in the 1911. But man, it's a lot thinner, a lot more pointable, but it does give you a lot of extra rounds. And honestly, it's just more reliable. Now I got this on AIM Surplus. They had the Gen 3s and the Gen 4s available. One of the big differences is that you don't have back straps with the Gen 3 and you have extended back straps with your Gen 4. You have an ambidextrous magazine release that you can switch to the other side, and the texturing on the grip is just a lot more aggressive. It has little pyramid shapes instead of this just really soft, kind of very minimal texturing. But again, the main thing is your texturing from your front to your back, and you can see the pyramid shapes here. It does give you a good solid grip on it, but with the side texturing it does help give you just a little bit better grip. To be honest, I ordered the Gen 3 not even thinking about it. I just ordered it, and then I realized after I'd placed the order that I could have gotten a Gen 4. But pretty much this is a solid firearm. Gen 3s have proven to be exceptional firearms regardless. Now, being a police trade-in, when it came in, it was in really nice condition. Here is a Model 22 that is also a police trade-in that I got at AIM Surplus. And I'm going to just kind of show you some differences. And this would be the same with the Glock 17 in 9mm. First off, the slide is definitely thicker. And that's one of the things to house that 45 ACP. They needed a little bit more beef to the slide. They had already introduced their 10mm Model 20, which is the exact same size as the Model 21 in dimensions. But the slide width on the Glock 17 or the Model 22 is 1 inch. On the Model 21, it's 1.12 inches. It's about 1/8 of an inch difference, but when you put these together, it's a pretty big difference. And really, you can see the big difference in the slide width right here at the muzzle. And that 45 ACP barrel is really just incredible. And then when it comes to the frame width, the frame actually sticks out just a little bit more than the slide. And so we have a 1.26 inch on the 9mm or the 40 caliber, and then when we come to the 45, it's a 1.34 inch. Also, the slide is just slightly longer on the Model 21. Now you can get the Model 30, which is the compact version, very similar to the Model 29 that's in 10mm, and then you can also get a long slide version, the Model 41, which has an extended slide. The barrel length is 4.61 inches, and this does have the Tenifer finish, which was the original Glock finish. They went away from the Tenifer because when they were doing the processing, it was somewhat hazardous. But on the slide, it's not going to have any problems. And that penetrates the metal, and it really protects this from corrosion, from abrasions. I mean, this gun, when I got it, it was wrapped up in skateboard tape, probably some Talon grips with that really rough texturing, and it took a little bit to get it cleaned up, but obviously it turned out really well. Now this is the way the gun came. It already had Talon grips, and this is kind of like the skateboard tape also up here. That's kind of unusual. But this is the way, again, when it arrived, it already had this on here. I'm going to remove this, but I wanted to show it how it comes in. It's the first police trade-in I've had with actually any kind of Talon grips or anything. But everything looks pretty good so far. The box, definitely, you know, a police trade-in, so there's some markings on here. I marked them out. And came with the loader, the lock, came with the original spent shell from the factory. I don't know what this is, some kind of parts, but there's no extra magazine with this, but those magazines are available. And here at the top we have a cleaning rod and a cleaning brush. And again, these are just police trade-ins, so you really never know what you're going to get. But typically with these Glocks, I found that they're in really good shape. Now we have our safe action trigger. Glock was the first one to introduce this, and you have this little blade safety right here that keeps this trigger from firing unless you have a full grip on the safety. And if you'll notice, it just brings that little back part out of the way. Here we have some take up, and then we have a wall, little stacking, and then we have our brake. For Glock triggers, this one's not too bad. I suspect that it's been shot somewhat, being a police trade-in, especially for qualifications. Let's check the reset. Real fast, tactile, audible, and then back on it. Check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman Trigger Yates and Brownells. 5 pounds, 12.3 ounces. 5 pounds, 0.3 ounces. And Glocks are said to have 5 to 5.5 pound trigger pulls, and that's about right. We really appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made in the USA, one of the largest suppliers of ammo in the country. Also, we really thank Lula Loaders. We have a lot of mags here, and this just makes it so much easier. Now to me, the Model 21 at the range shoots very well. It's that thicker grip that makes it a little different. With the original grips, again, with the bigger grips, it was a little more difficult to control. With the slim frame, you feel like you've really got a nice, solid grip on the handgun. That was one of the reasons why I sold the earlier Glocks that I had, because the Model 21, again, is just thick. But this does have quite a bit of mass coming back on the slide. And so, you know, you do feel the recoil. It is in 45 ACP. But because of the polymer frame, it does help absorb a lot of the recoil. And to be honest with you, after you shoot the Model 20, which is in 10mm, this is a cakewalk. The recoil is very manageable. And then too, having that 13+1 in the magazine, I mean, it gives you a lot of extra rounds over the 1911. And to be honest with you, it's just more reliable. Now, I'm a big Glock fan. I've been shooting Glocks ever since they were introduced. And if I only had one gun, it would be the Glock 19. But it's always nice to have that same design, the same controls, the same feel, and yet in 45 ACP. One of the things about it is, of course, it's bigger, but it does have more recoil. Having it a little bit larger actually helps. It's going to tame the recoil a little more. But guys, honestly, I love shooting 45 ACP because it's more of a shove. When you go with 9mm, it's more of a punch. And so while the recoil is a little more because it's just a heavier bullet, 45 ACP is a pleasure to shoot. And it gives you a lot more capability with 13+1 in the magazine. When it comes to disassembly, it's just the same as a regular Glock. Check to make sure the gun's unloaded. First thing you'll do is pull your trigger, pull back on the slide, about 1/8 of an inch, pull down on your takedown tabs. Slide goes forward. We have our recoil spring and guide rod. It is polymer, which is typical for Glock. And then we have our barrel. Of course, the slide, just Glock. You got your trigger safety or your striker safety right here. And this one has been shot quite a bit, which we like that. And here we have the frame. It's just a beefed up Model 17 or Model 22. I mean, it's a large frame, and again, this is the largest frame that Glock makes. And guys, that's all you need to do to field strip. It's very simple. Then just turn your barrel, your recoil spring and guide rod, then bring it back over your slide, test for function, and we're good to go. The manufacturer suggested retail price, from what I can find, is $660. They don't really list it on the Glock website. Typically, you can find these anywhere from around $500 up to about $600, according to where you're finding it. Again, I purchased this off of AIM Surplus. They send a newsletter out. I always look at it, and it was $3.99. And this was the Gen 3. The Gen 4 was also $3.99. So great price for a police trade-in. And typically, I mean, Glocks, they just function. And if you have any kind of issues, the parts are really easy to switch out. And so that makes this a big plus. The 13+1 mag capacity beats out the 1911. But it's a lot thicker. It's a bigger gun. Even though it weighs less, It's not as pointable, not as easy to shoot as the 1911, but again, you get those extra capacity in the magazines. Parts and accessories are readily available. You name it, people make it for Glock, and so that is a big plus. I really suggest getting the short frame unless you have really large hands, because this is a large grip already, and then with that short frame bringing it in a little bit closer, it makes it a lot easier to shoot. It is blocky, which is Glock's known for, and so a lot of guys are just turned off by that. So that could be a con for some. For me, I'm so used to shooting Glocks, I love the way it looks. And beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. I mean, there's a lot of different choices as well for 45 ACP. And again, that's why we live in the golden age of firearms. The Gen 3 is going to have a few less features than the Gen 4 with the back straps, with the more aggressive texturing, and the recoil system is also a little bit different. And if you're a lefty, you definitely want to go with the Gen 4 because you can switch out that magazine release. But otherwise, they're very close. Hopefully we'll see a Gen 5 come out in the next few years, maybe something that would be a little bit thinner. But overall, this is a great gun. One thing I love about 45 is it's more of a shove. With 9mm, it's more of a punch. But you definitely feel the recoil of 45 over the 9mm. But then again, you get better ballistics coming out the end of the barrel. Guys, as far as surplus firearms, when they hit the market, and I've always said this, that's the best time to buy them. But here lately, except for police trade-ins, military surplus is drying up. One of those issues is that a lot of European countries are buying up surplus rifles, especially bolt actions, rifles they can use. So the market here in the US has become really thin. But with the police trade-ins, it's a great option to get some really good quality guns at a very reasonable price. And the one thing about the 40 calibers is that you can replace the barrel, get a conversion barrel. I know Wheaton Arms makes 9mm conversion barrels for your 40 caliber. You can't put a standard 9mm barrel in here because the barrel width is a little bit thicker, so you need a conversion barrel. But really, this will make this a Glock 17. And then you have 2 calibers. But overall, I was really pleased with this police trade-in, especially with the price. So guys, there's a number of different 45 caliber pistols out on the market, and you can thank that to Glock for introducing this Model 21 that really bridged the gap from the 1911s to the polymer striker fire pistol. And now we have a number of different ones. For me, I'm a real big fan of Glock, mainly because of just the reliability. They're just uber reliable. And so it really gives you a lot of confidence when you pick these up. You know that it's going to fire, you know that it's going to shoot. And in a self-defense situation, that's excellent. While this wouldn't necessarily be a concealed carry piece, it's definitely nice to have on your hip when you're out in the woods. And I was really glad that I found this on AIM Surplus. I got on there, I'm on their newsletter. As soon as I saw it, I just purchased it. And it ran $3.99, which is a great price for any Glock right now. Really, it's in beautiful shape. Of course, obviously, when you're buying police trade-ins, you don't know, but most of them have been carried a lot and shot little. And that's okay with me, because I'm gonna beat this up anyway. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Sootch00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. I came onto AIM Surplus, and as much of a Glock fan, as much as Lula loaders, we have a lot of mags here. In 1990, the Glock introduced. In 1990, the Glock introduced. Who's the Glock?